What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the eco-friendly wash system on your wheels and how to do it properly. Now before we get started on the wheels over here, we're going to cover the different products and tools we'll be using to complete this task. First up here, you're going to need to use a 2-gallon bucket, 1 gallon of your ONR wash solution. This is the Optimum No Rinse. More specifically, you're going to dilute it at 1/2 ounce per gallon with either distilled or DI water. Kneeling pad, typically 4 to 6 microfiber towels, black preferably is what you're going to want to use for this task. A lighting source, so if you're working in a garage or shop like that, you can actually see inside the dish of the wheels. If you're cleaning the inside of the dish of the wheels, a little bit better. Some gloves, keep your hands clean. Some kind of brush for getting all the way back in there inside the dish itself. Another brush right here for the lug nuts, or if you're like myself and you prefer a couple little skewer sticks or something along those lines, you can use those for getting in around the lug nut area, which we'll cover here in just a second. So now let's go ahead and take our bucket and fill it up with the wash solution, and then we'll go ahead and take our black microfiber towels, put them in the bucket, and get started on the wheels. So now that our towels are soaking here in the bucket, they're all fully wet, I'm going to pull them out one by one, wring them out. Typically I'll use 1 to 1.5 towels per wheel. So what I like to do is pull them out of the bucket here, wring them out pretty good. And once they're wrung out pretty good, it really depends on how dirty the wheel is. If the wheel right here is just a light layer of dust, you know, the car's got, I mean, some wheels are gonna, or some brakes are gonna dust more than others, so you see all the brake dust built up pretty quick. This one right here, unfortunately, is a high performance brake, so it dusts pretty darn quick on here. Unfortunately, it's not carbon ceramics, because if they were, they're not gonna dust as bad. But again, getting back to my point is if the wheel is really, really dirty, you're gonna wanna make sure the towel is a little bit more wet than another time. For the final wipe towel, I pull out, this is the second one that I'll pull out, and I'll make sure this one is wrung out extremely well, where it's just very lightly moist, and it's gonna be enough to go back over it and wipe up any residue that might be left behind from the original wash process of it. All right, so now that we got our 2 towels, we got our one very lightly moist towel right here. I'm keeping it here on my kneeling pad so it stays nice and clean. It's not making contact with the ground, especially if you're outside working. Now the one that is a little bit wetter, this is gonna be used for wiping up the light layer of dust from the brake dust, the road grime, things like that. I'll be using this nice brush, right? This is the Speedmaster brush, and I'm gonna actually wrap it around the microfiber towel itself, and I'm gonna come in here and wipe up, go over the areas, spin it as need be to a clean section, and making sure I'm getting all the way back behind the deep dish of the wheel here. This is a pretty wide tire, a 345 specifically. So these wheels are pretty darn wide, so you wanna make sure you're getting all the way back there in the back. And around this caliper right here on the front, we're gonna talk about that here in a second. The caliper's gonna be a little bit of an issue to fully get back there. But we're gonna wipe all the way down in the dish, all the way back. There's those little details that really matter. And then we'll go ahead, flip it around to the clean side here, and we're gonna use this front side of the towel that's clean to basically go around and wipe the face of the wheel itself. So now that our towel has been used, it's wiped the whole wheel down, we're ready to go on to the final wipe down phase. So we're gonna just set that right there on the side so it's not making contact with the ground, or what I like to do is I'll put it right back here. But when you're doing that, the kneeling pad right here tends to get all wet, so you don't wanna kind of get it too wet. This is personal preference for me. Take our one that's lightly moist here, same concept, wrapping it around there, and this is gonna wipe up any maybe light residue that was left behind from the washing process of it, getting all the way back in there. If you maybe missed a little spot, it will help out with picking that little spot up, which can happen. And you get some difficult wheels that are lots of little spokes and really difficult to work in. It's just a little bit more of a time-consuming process to really get in there and get all those wheels, get the dish of the wheel really cleaned up nice. So again, just like that right there, we're gonna flip it to the clean side from doing the dish. And we're gonna come right here and wipe the face of it down all the way around, getting in all the little spoke areas. And once we're done with that, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my little skewer right here, I'm gonna wrap it around the towel just like I did with the brush right here. But what this part's gonna do is help me get around the lug nuts. So on some wheels, if you don't have a cover that kind of helps hide the lug nuts, you have the lug nuts exposed, you're gonna wanna get around those little tight areas. Again, it's those little details that really matter. So I'm taking the wood skewer here, wrapping it around my microfiber towel, and then I'm gonna come in here and basically just wipe up around each and every one of those lug nuts all the way around. Now once that task is complete, we're going to go ahead and move on to the front wheels. The front wheel, it's a little bit difficult of a wheel, especially on this specific car right here, so I'm going to talk to you guys about that here in just a second. Now before we get started here on the front wheel, what I was talking about is different basically between the front wheel and the rear wheel on this specific car right here. Is this front wheel right here, the brakes more specifically are very, very large on there, and I'm not actually able to get my Speedmaster wheel brush in here and actually get it behind the caliper because there's no room to actually fit it back there. So what I have to do is basically get every other part of the wheel first. Once I've gotten all those parts of the car, I can back the car up 2-3 feet, whatever I need, to have basically the wheel rotate to the dirty side. Then I can come back in there and clean that little extra bit that was behind the caliper that was missed. Again, it's those little details that you gotta basically be mindful of, and unfortunately this is just one of those cars that takes a little extra work to get those details. All right guys, now we got the wheels all cleaned up, looking really, really good now. Lastly, what I want to talk to you guys about, just like I did in the eco-friendly wash video of how to properly wash your paint, there does become a point where it is too dirty to safely clean the wheels without scratching them and totally destroying them and making them look absolutely horrible, especially here on black wheels. Black, you see every scratch and flaw and everything in between in there. So this one right here, this is my specific car. I don't let it get to the point where it's too dirty to not safely clean them. Again, if I take it out on the back roads, I'm going out for a couple 100-mile drive, I come back home, they're just absolutely disgusting. I'll let the car sit, cool down, and then I'll bring it out and actually use my pressure washer to really get in there and clean it up really nice. Now these wheels right here are ceramic coated, and having ceramic coated wheels makes the cleaning process that much easier, that much more enjoyable, versus just really trying to like chisel the stuff off at some cases where you let the wheels get so bad, or even in some cases where you get the brake that's just actually baked on there to the rim itself, where you have to use like some kind of acid or pull the wheels off and go through a whole nother process to properly clean that. So if you guys this routine maintenance cleaning, it's going to make the process so much easier and enjoyable. Also, if you are just cleaning the face of the wheel, you can just use that same process just for doing the face. You guys don't always have to do the inside dish. Me being a detailer, and this car basically represents my business, it needs to look good at all times, so I go through the extra little process of cleaning those little details on the inside of the dish of the wheel is there. So I hope that helps you guys out. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button. If you guys have not already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well. That being said, talk to you guys soon.